Rock Talk.
I'm bleeding for you people. One of the exciting things about shaving and having ulcerative colitis is that sometimes I break out when my medication somehow manages to get balanced or if I forget to take it. So I get acne in strange places. And this morning, having put shaving cream on my face, I'm moving along nicely, having no problem. And then I went to put the razor right near my lip.
Are you doing an Obama with the middle finger?
Obama. I'm going to put a Band-Aid on in a second. All of a sudden, you cut yourself. I'm like, rip. So there you go.
This is why you use an electric razor.
I do sometimes use an electric razor, but I'm Blade guy. I prefer a blade shave. So, reminder, Facebook and Twitter, please follow us, Granite Grok, and check out this and past programs on iTunes, iHeart, Spreaker, TuneIn, Stitcher, and remember, we are now at patreon.com/GrokTalk. You can donate and help support the program. Let's talk about goofy laws now.
So I did a little bit more research, and I found a list of some of the best. It's a top 15 list. You may not tap your feet, nod your head, or in any way keep time to the music in a tavern, restaurant, or cafe. Now, I'd heard about that one, but I haven't been able to find the RSA for it. There is one, RSA 332 Section D. You cannot run machinery on Sundays. That's an older one. Actually, all of, I think, 332 is from 1960s. It's illegal to inhale bus fumes with the intent of inducing euphoria. So it's legal to inhale bus fumes, but not if you're trying to get high. Now, when I was a kid, we waited at the bus stop at school, and they had all of these diesel buses running, producing diesel fumes, idling for 5, 10, 15 minutes, and all the kids are sitting around waiting to go home, breathing in diesel fumes all day long. Not all day long, but for about 10 or 15 minutes. We're sitting there. We had to stay there because buses would leave at random times.
They had much higher levels of both unburned hydrocarbons and carbon monoxide in the diesel fumes back then than they do now.
I got that beat, though. If you work at UPS in the center, when they go to get ready to leave in the morning after you're done loading the trucks and you're finishing up, you get 100 and some odd package cars, half diesel, some regular unleaded fuel, all firing up inside a building. Yeah. Granted, it's a huge building, but it's still inside a building. So for a good half hour, you're just walking through this stuff. I mean, that's why when I used to come home, I smelled like diesel exhaust. And when I get done, go to my next job, I'd have to take a shower.
Parents in Texas were upset because their kids were coming home smelling like diesel fumes every single day. Was it an exhaust leak? Who knows? They smelled like diesel. Kids came home smelling like diesel. So on the ride to school and the ride home, they're breathing in diesel fumes all day long. So they switched to biodiesel. They saved money.
And the kids come home smelling like French fries.
No, biodiesel fumes actually smell kind of like sourdough. Biodiesel fumes, there's a myth about them smelling like French fries because so many come from French fry cookers. Once you combust it, it smells has kind of a soury odor to it. But the kids are breathing in diesel fumes all over the country. They're the unburnt fuel, and they're breathing in the exhaust, and it's impossible to completely contain fuel. Diesel's a lot better than gasoline, but again, the kids are breathing this in. So they switched to biodiesel. They saved money, of course. Biodiesel costs less than regular diesel. The engines on the last longer. They don't have to spend as much money on maintenance. So I brought this up with the Seabrook School Board, and I said, well, why don't you guys switch to biodiesel? And they just said no.
Well, part of it may be cost and availability.
Well, there's a lot of biodiesel in New Hampshire. It's ever. I think
and
it's
there's
the cold,
a company
isn't it?
called
Doesn't
Smart Fuel that sells biodiesel in Seabrook. It's right there, and they sell it truckload, 6,000
gallons.
gallons
Up in the cold wicked bad, though.
Well, so does regular diesel.
I know,
fuel,
but I mean,
too.
it's worse with biodiesel.
Yeah,
I know, but you can mix it at different quantities. So,
well, it's an option. I mean, obviously, if you want to save the district money,
but it's not an option because they're not going to do it. The problem with school boards is everything is done under the RSA, so they have to deal with the lawyers, they have to deal with the state statutes, they have to deal with the SAUs, and they have a lot of really dumb laws. You can't just hire the principal who you want to hire. The SAU brings, this is the dumbest law in the state right here. The SAU brings forward 3 candidates, 2 homeless guys and their candidate. And you have to hire one of the 3. And if you reject them all, they bring their candidate back and 2 new homeless guys. And eventually you have to hire their candidate, or you operate on a acting principal, your vice principal, for however many years this fight goes on, months or years. And
Anybody ever elect the homeless guy?
the school board
So they're
has to,
discriminating against homeless people?
the individuals who are absolutely not qualified to serve as a janitor get brought in as the 2 alternate candidates. And this is the statute, and the SAU on its own gets to decide if someone is qualified or not. No qualifications. They just get to bring in people who should never be around school children. And once in a while, someone who should never be around school children gets hired as the principal.
Of course, with the now the big push is, since gay marriage is now legal in all 50 states, or 57 states if you're sitting with Obama, there's now the push for polyamory and polygamy to be made legal. Mm-hmm. And now we're also hearing, as I posted up, a push for folks like the NAMBLA folks. Mm-hmm. It's no longer a perversion. It's just a minor child. What was the word that they used?
Sexual orientation.
Orientation.
California.
Minor child
California
orientation.
California recognizes pedophilia as a sexual orientation. It's like an alternative lifestyle as far as they're concerned.
Yep.
And I've been telling other conservatives, and some of them don't believe me. And I said, after transgender, the next group they're going for is pedophiles.
Yeah.
They want to.
This is the
political correctness. You're going to have to accept pedophiles.
And this,
their
folks,
choice of lifestyle.
This, folks, is where the overlap of the leftist progressive agenda and the Muslim agenda occurs.
Well, it's possible, but it is
that
a complete.
Unfortunately, is true.
You can legally marry your camel. What?
It is actually. This was foreseen by a Democrat senator, Daniel Monahan, who was the former ambassador to the UN, where he said, all we're doing is defining deviancy down. And heck, I would be brought up on some Star Chamber environment just for saying defining deviancy down by those whose deviancy has now been downgraded. It really
Will
is.
tree huggers be looking for a next level of intimacy?
Well,
Don't laugh. Somebody was arrested for that.
And I have an opinion.
There might be a law against that. Maybe it falls
yeah.
under the puppet show thing. I don't know.
But it's not. It may not. It may not be illegal to rape a horse in New Hampshire and a handful of other states, because it's legal to have sex with a horse. But how do you gain
in New
consent
Hampshire?
from yes. How do you gain consent from a horse?
Flick of the tail?
The horse says neigh. Does that mean neigh?
Yeah, does no really mean no, according to Bill
means
Clinton?
Maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bill Clinton's going to be in big trouble pretty soon because no means yes.
Well, I mean, if you look at the feminazi, constant consent people, I mean, he's guilty of raping millions of women technically, probably just by Joe Biden. He touched people. There's all these things that show up that obviously don't apply to them, but in the real world where the rest of us live, where they try to enforce their rules. If you open a door for a woman, you might be committing rape.
Can we bring back Ted Kennedy from the dead? Because, that Senator Dodd and Senator Kennedy infamous waitress sandwich, that would have been enough to get him in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
So how, on the left,
Mary Jo Kopechne has no comment.
Are their ideas underwater yet?
The coalition of angry, man-hating feminists together with Middle Eastern countries where if a woman is raped, it's legal to honor kill her.
And her word is she needs 5 witnesses to be the equal of the rapist. The Sharia law. Sharia law, yeah.
And for any matter, you need 2 women to get an equal, to have an equal opinion to 1 man.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really bad stuff, folks. But I'm going to stick my neck out. The Gestapo will probably come after it. So you look at what's going on, and you refer to pedophilia and NAMBLA, and I've observed something. We read about Muslims trying to groom teenage girls, for sex slavery, but it's not that men in general and old white men are predatory, but there is a certain class of gay who are predatory, who go out and try to groom the youngsters and get them into the lifestyle.
Terry Bean. Terry Bean.
Right. It is a fact, and it is how a lot of them become gay in the first place.
Well, I see
They
occasionally
talk
in the
about
blogosphere.
having a deep bench, right?
Oh, Steve. Well, you wrote about Terry Bean, this pedophile, high-placed Democrat donor, and it's like the media has just wiped it clear. You're the only person who really kept writing about
There's
it.
updates in Oregon.
Yeah,
in a
but
local,
that's about
one
it.
local paper that I know of every week or so now because there's a lot of things going on, but nobody else covers it.
Yeah.
I went to the State House on the same-sex marriage issue. I went to the State House. Going back to the 90s, I was a kid. I didn't know anything. I'd always been a supporter of same-sex marriage. The Libertarian Party had been a supporter of same-sex marriage back to, going back to 1972 when it was unheard of because it was an equality issue and they had no problem taking controversial opinions back in those days. And the Libertarian Party also ran the first ever openly gay presidential candidate back in 1972. Fast forward to 2000 and some odd. I went to the State House to testify in favor of the same-sex marriage bill, and I can't remember the hearing, but I remember that I decided not to testify. I just kind of sat there, and it's all these divorce lawyers coming forward, and it's the Bar Association, and I go to the Bar Association's website and start doing a little research, and gosh, the lawyers really seem to be in favor of this. And then you see if you've seen the movie Divorce Corp, which I would strongly recommend that viewers go see, it shows how the divorce industry and the divorce lawyers just absolutely destroy families, destroy their assets, pit people against each other, turn the kids into chips in a high-stakes poker game, and the highest, when they assign a dollar amount per child, what each child is worth in divorce court, in the family courts, the highest state in the nation is New Hampshire. It's over $2 million per child. Over $2 million per child.
All right, we're going to take a break and head into our next segment. You're certainly welcome to stay. We're expecting Kevin Bloom and somebody else. I think I just saw Dan out there, but we'll be right back shortly. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about a religious freedom issue as I understand it. This is Grok Talk. We are back in studio, and we hope you'll stay tuned. And while you're waiting, check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Stay there.
Rock.